your debt. Call 1-800-331-1042. That's 1-800-331-1042. Call right now.
Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. Fred Dreyer here on the second half of our show. We are moving along right here, and I got to tell you something. Last night, late last night, I was just thrilled to hear that there's been a huge turnaround of events in Indiana. We've got Richard Murdoch's significant win in Indiana in the U.S. Senate primary election over incumbent and left of center liberal coward Senator Richard Lugar. That guy's been around. That guy has been 36 years in Washington, ladies and gentlemen. 36 years in Washington, being put into office election cycle after election cycle by good, decent people who expected this man to go to Washington as a conservative, a right-of-center constitutionalist, to go there and stick up for the will of the people, to fight for the will of the people, and to make sure that the voice of his constituents was heard loud and clear. But what did he do for 36 years? He went further and further and further to the left. He's as bad as any of these liberals that are in the mainstream today. He's as bad as Nancy Pelosi, as far as I'm concerned. Nancy Bella Lugosi Pelosi. You seen this horse head? You know something? This brings to mind one thing that I believe is very, very true. Right now, and you don't know it because of media propaganda, but you don't know it right now, but I really believe that there is a undercurrent that is really starting to gather momentum right now. We're 6 months out or so from the elections. And what you're starting to see is what you're starting to hear in these two states, Wisconsin, Scott Walker's defeat of his recall, and here Richard Murdoch's win over Dick Lugar, old Dick Lugar, who I saw a film clip this morning and he's just as dyspeptic and beaten and tired, and that's what's wrong with the Republican Party. It's got people like this. It's got T-Rex John McCain. You know, you got people who have no idea at all what they've been sent to Washington for. They've glazed over decades ago. They've been in office too long, and I'm a big proponent of term limits on these people. There's no way that we should allow anybody to become a career politician ever again. Get them out of office. It is detrimental. It's anathema to the Constitution and everything that this country stands for. There is a fed up meter, I think, somewhere here where people have just decided, I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want to listen to anybody else, including Mitt Romney. I've already made my mind up. I know what we got to do. Number one, you got to get rid of Obama. And then once you put Mitt Romney in office, you better jump on this guy and beat him to a pulp if he doesn't do what he says he's going to do or what should be done. And there's this guy, Reince somebody, who Reince, I forgot his last name. I can remember his first name, as screwed up as it is, but I can't remember his last name. Forgive me. But he's the guy that runs the GOP. This guy here's asleep at the switch. You know, all of them are. Nobody who's ever ran the GOP has ever convinced me that they're not asleep, that they're so out of tune, Michael Steele included. All of these guys were just dead from the neck up and have a heart like a pea, as they say in the locker room. A heart like a pea. And these guys are sitting there foisting themselves on the American people, lying to them in all of their election campaigns, fostering ill will. And they go to Washington and they cocktail party it up and over on K Street, and they open their doors up, and they actually like prostitutes in Mexico when they stand outside a nightclub and say, hey, come on in here, my sister, she's very good, she's a virgin, you know. They're like that in the hallways in Washington while all of the lobbyists come in, and they just walk into these doors, they shut the door, and they do their business in 15, 20 minutes, and they pay these people off, and they do all this pork, and they do all of this legislation that is anti-American. Yes, the process is, yes, you can send people and you can go there and you can persuade them, hopefully by argument, not by money, and graft like Washington's become. But if you have limits, what you do is you wind up making sure that people don't go there and dine out 30 years and start getting a root system set up of corruption. And that's what's happened. You have a root system of corruption because people like Dick Lugar, and I'm not saying he's a criminal, but people like that who have spent their entire lives, 36 years, what is he, 73, 72, half of his life, he's been in Washington. What's he been doing there? What the hell's he been doing there in Washington for the last 36 years? That guy's got this guy stinks from being there too long. I've got as they say, I've got ties older than this guy, 36 years. Yeah, I'm 66, so I'm 30 years of age. I know I bought ties when I was 30 years of age that have that I've got still in my closet. They're as old as Dick Lugar has been in office. That's enough already. I don't wear the ties anymore. They're dated, just like Dick Lugar. You can't drag Dick Lugar out and have him talk about a current topic. He has no opinion about anything. Well, guess what? The American people, the voting public in Indiana put Richard Murdoch in office, and they were emphatic about it. And Dick Lugar's out. Thank God. Now you got to get John McCain. Now we got to take that same bus that was in Indiana, gas it up, and drive it down to Arizona and get T-Rex out of there. You got to get him out of there. This guy's not good. This guy's not good. I don't need to go into how clearly it was that John McCain was ignorant and stupid and cowardly within his own politic when he ran for president. It was unbelievable. He dumped the presidency. He dumped it. He went back to Washington, D.C. to sit in on the TARP bill with George Bush, and the whole thing was that T-Rex was too much like George Bush. 4 more years of the same. Here was the opportunity to separate himself. He never did. As a matter of fact, he signed on to it. He come out of there and said, yeah, I agree with it. I agree with it. I was expecting him to come out and separate and say, I don't agree with anything anybody said there. He'd have won the election if he'd have done that. He didn't do it. That's because he's stupid. Because he's a coward. That's because we're stuck with people like that in Washington. T-Rex, he's the next guy to go. He's got to get out of there. I'll send the bus for him myself.